So, as you can see, it's full daylight, and this is my first video. So, another first for today, starting at 7:18, and I'm not the first one on the road. And today, I don't know, we'll see where it goes today. I got 3 hours of sleep last night, broken up into two 1.5 hour stages. So at the moment, I'm feeling rested, but I don't want to hurt my body, break my body, you know. So I've been debating whether I was going to take a taxi from here, and what does that mean to me? And you know, so I decided that I did feel like walking. My heart feels like walking. So there are two. The main stage for most people is Puerto Marin. That's 10 kilometers away. And by Puerto Marin, I am thinking I'll have a good idea of how I want to continue today. Whether the 3 hours and 2 bits of 1.5 is enough to go a further 25 kilometers, because it's 35 kilometers altogether today, or whether, you know, I want to take a taxi from there, and what will that mean to me. And I figure in the next 10 kilometers I should be able to figure that out. So I was just talking to a friend in a voice note about some things that are pertinent to both my journey today, and who knows, they might be pertinent to something you guys are experiencing now or at some point in your life, future, past. And presence and mindfulness, these are more than just important. These are necessary in order to connect with the bodies that we don't readily see. So we are at 98.763. We all know body, mind, soul. There's spirit too. And the way I see it, when you have a decision to make, if you make it from your heart, there are no wrong decisions. If you make the decision from your heart, there is no failure. Because the heart, it's not the place of love. It's not where we say, oh, I love you, you know, from the bottom of my heart. That's something different. But the heart that I'm talking about is the bridge between our souls and the pulse of the universe, the multiverse, which includes, obviously, absolutely everything. So there is a pulse, and it pulses everywhere, including within us. And the heart is the bridge between that pulse and our souls. And the body, our physical body, is the bridge between our hearts and our minds. So this is where we can, influence things with, quote unquote, thought alone. It's not really thought alone. It's the mind getting in sync with the heart and the body, via the body. But obviously, that becomes a part of it, part of that in syncness, that synchronicity. And the mind is the bridge. Between spirit and the body. So we have these bridges, these connecting points. And these things, these are the real things. Money is not a real thing. Money is a construct. Money is a creation. It's an idea. And while we can all agree money plays a very big role in all of our lives, it's not something that's real. And the things that are real are these things that I'm talking about: the heart, the body, the mind, the soul. And my body has been under extreme duress. Yes, it's gorgeous walking, you know, like I've been at a point for many days that I've actually enjoyed it. You remember at the beginning where I was like, this is, you know, I can't really say I enjoy it. This shit isn't fun, you know, it's just walking, you know, because you're not walking for a day. You know, you're walking day after day, you know, for 33 days. And in my case, 36, because I'm going to Finisterre. And it would be a lot longer, but I'm doing over 30 kilometers a day now. So, but I have gotten to the point where I feel in sync. It's just beautiful. Moving, you know, moving on the planet, moving with the planet, moving through the planet, you know, my body and mind and heart just all, you know, doing their thing together with the Camino. And that does not mean, however, that I'm not under pressure, because I am. It takes a lot of effort to do this walking, and I don't get enough sleep. I'm almost always in rooms with snoring people. When I get a good night's sleep, it's phenomenal, but I still only get about 5 or 6 hours maximum. I don't think I've had more than 6 hours at any point on the journey, and it's usually around 5.5, which isn't really enough for me. At home, I usually get between 5 and 7, depending. And this last night, for instance, I only had 1.5 hours, and then another 1.5 hours. And the second 1.5 hours was broken, you know, by snorers. And I had a dream that I'd gotten up to use the bathroom. When I came back, the guy who was in the bed next to mine, only about 25 centimeters away, if that, had gotten into my sleeping sack. And I was like, get out of my sack, you know? And that's clearly an indication that, for me anyway, he was like all up in my space, you know? He was so far up in my space that he was in my sleeping sack, you know? And I tried to chase him out. And then I had to get back in my sleeping sack knowing that he'd been in it, you know? And so that dream is a clear indication that I am overwhelmed and stressed by having to share rooms with strangers every night. Like last night was only 4 other people besides myself. Sometimes it's 100, you know. Sometimes it's 20, sometimes it's 40. But every single night, you know. And sure, that's part of the pilgrim experience, you know. Carrying your bag, you know, is part of the pilgrim experience. And I'm still carrying a big fat bag, you know. But I'm not doing that because, you know, I feel like I have to pay my dues. That's just got the essentials, like the absolute bare essentials for the walk. The other bag has the essentials for, you know, staying overnight somewhere, right? And or continuing the journey day after day. And that's part of the pilgrim experience too, is breaking it down to the bare essentials. But it doesn't mean that just because, you know, this is the pilgrim experience, doesn't mean that my body is not under massive stress. Plus, you know, I had my whole thing about sending my iPad back and how, you know, scared I was about whether it was going to get there or not. And, you know, and I couldn't find a tracking number. And I finally got that sorted out last night. And it's entered the United Kingdom, you know. So yay for that. Now it just has to get to my house. But all of this stress has been keeping me up. My feet are mostly happy. I do get, like right now I haven't got any pain in my heels, but, you know, even just lying in bed I've got pain in my heels, you know. So that's also, you know, some kind of a constant stress. Plus, you know, I'll just be honest, I want to be home, you know, I want my kids, I want my animals, you know, I miss my bed, you know, I miss being able to sleep without being in a room full of people, you know. And yes, I'm still present, you know, but those other things are real too. And those are stresses that I'm constantly under. So, you know, this whole thing about hardly having any sleep last night, it really made me wonder, you know, am I going to even be fit to walk? Like last night, I couldn't imagine how I could possibly walk the next day. Well, you know, 1.5 hours, half hour awake, then another 1.5 hours. And I felt fit. And I was really surprised. And I had to debate it with myself a little bit. Are you sure? You know? And the thing is, I can't afford to take a day off because I've booked everything everywhere. And yes, I could cancel a reservation, but if I cancel it in one place, it's a domino effect. So I have to cancel it everywhere else and, you know, extend it everywhere else. And if they don't have a space the night after. And the thing is that right now, I mentioned before that let me just find my way. I mentioned before, oh yay, no signs. Huh, what do I do here? I mentioned before, oh there's one, that from Sardia, the Camino is really crowded with pilgrims, and Tina calls them peregrinos because they're tourist pilgrims. So peregrino is, you know, the word for tourist. It's the word for pilgrim. So tourist pilgrims. And that's because, I think I explained this already, you get your Compostela if you've walked at least 100 kilometers. So they all start in Sardia. And, you know, what that means for us is that it's really hard to find a place to stay. So it's not a trivial concern of mine that I would have to cancel all my bookings and make new ones. It is a real concern that I might not get new ones. So I don't want to do that, and I can't afford to do that. I need to keep the bookings as they are. I need to get to Palas de Rei today. But what I've said to myself is, all right, you feel good for walking now, then walk now. And keep walking as long as you feel good, you know. Get to Puerto Marin, that's the next relatively big city. And there's probably going to be some up and down, so it's probably going to be a 3-hour walk instead of a 2-hour walk. And you know, I started at 7:18 today, so that means I'm going to arrive in heat, which is 10:30. And then I'll reassess. And, you know, part of what I was going to do on this 10 kilometers was meditate on what it means to do the Camino. You know, it took me a lot to give up my backpack and to let go of that idea of, you know, being a true pilgrim, living up to that role, that expectation means that I've carried my bag the entire way, you know? Well, shit, I carried it for over 600 kilometers and, you know, it's what it is, you know? And now I'm forwarding it and that's okay and I'm fine with that. So what about forwarding my body, you know? Putting it in a taxi? What if my body is just too exhausted? Does that mean I failed? Does that mean, you know, because it's not just that it's so exhausted and I'll just stay a night here wherever I am and have a short day of it. You know, as I explained, I need to continue. So the next step would be to take a taxi to Palas de Rei. And will that mean that I've failed? Will that mean that I'm not a good pilgrim? Will that mean that I don't deserve, you know, my last stamp or my Compostela? To be honest, I'm like the worst about researching anything. I don't even know what the Compostela is. I think it's some kind of a certificate, you know, but I'm not doing this for that, you know. I'm doing this for my relationship with the Camino, and that what that means is my relationship with myself and with my soul and my spirit and the world and the multiverse. And that's why I'm here. So if this experience has come into my awareness, then that means it's something that I need to look at. So this idea of potentially taking a taxi, this is something that I need to look at. And I will do so as soon as, I will do so as soon as my heart moves me to. And whatever decision I then make will be the right one, and it will not be a failure on my part if I do end up taking a taxi. And I will still be a whole person. I will still have done my work on the Camino, because part of my work will have been to care for my body and love my body and take a taxi to transport my body to the next way station if needs be. So I just thought some of those points might be valid for some of you, might be interesting for some of you. If they weren't, then at least you got to enjoy the scenery, I hope. All right. We've been passing little things, 98 kilometers. So we are well underneath the 100-kilometer mark. And it's pretty exciting. We'll just see what happens, all right? Beautiful woods again. We'll see how today goes. As you know, I have my reservation, so if I do need to take a 2-hour break, I can. I can do what's right for me, not for anyone else's expectations. And yeah, ciao for now. Hey, so there's something else I wanted to share. I didn't mention it's a cool 16 degrees, so it's pretty nice. The other thing I wanted to share was my response to something 97 kilometers, something pretty insulting that happened yesterday. And the reason I'm sharing this, it's not just, you know, to have a little bitch and moan session. This is about, I'm sharing it because it's a real milestone for me that my response was not an RSD triggered response, which you might remember is rejection sensitive dysphoria. So that's where I perceive rejection completely out of bounds, and respond out of bounds. So, whether with sadness or anger. So I had sent an email to someone who routinely lets pilgrims stay at her home for many days. It's a few days, at the end of their Camino. And I sent an email asking, telling her the days that I would be there. And not dates, but days. We all know what day, today is the day we received the email and so on. So I didn't bother with dates, but essentially, I said some things. I was really impressed that she was a writer too, and I felt like that gave us a little bond. And then I signed, of course, Morticia. And she wrote back, "Since I don't believe your parents were twisted enough to call you Morticia, I shall call you Ms. Crone, because that is at least a possibility." Now, aren't those all beautiful? Wow, beautiful. Muy bonito. Now, whatever she meant, I would love to go do some shopping, but it's not the right time for me. Just like with the fruit guy, it wasn't the right time. Whatever she meant with, at least that's a possibility. That's like in her own mind. But to say that it would be, that a person would have to be twisted in order to name their child Morticia, that would be a complete insult to my parents and any other people who've named their children Morticia. And I've come across 2 people who were also named Morticia. And so that was completely insulting. And then, to just say, since I don't believe they named you that, I'm going to call you something else. So essentially, she's saying, I believe you named yourself that, but I'm going to disrespect that wish of yours to be called Morticia, and I'm going to call you Ms. Crone, because that works for me. So, total disrespect and complete and utter arrogance. But the really amazing part of this all is that I caught it, right? I didn't go, oh my God, this awful woman, what the heck is going on here? 96.889. I said, wow, that's definitely off, right? And then I wrote her back my full name, and I said, but my full name, Morticia Autumn Crone. I said, but if you can't even bring yourself to use my name, then I don't think we're a good fit anyway. And, I wish you the best. And Morticia is an incredibly meaningful name and is not the result of a twisted mind. So for me, there was no anger in that. Sorry, the flies. I was very cool. It was a very calm assessment of the situation. I don't think we're going to be a good fit. And she wrote back, apologizing profusely, but then also saying, I didn't mean to make you angry. Another assumption, assuming that I was now angry. And I thought you would laugh. I was trying to make you laugh. Well, it's beyond me how anybody can think that being insulting and arrogant and disrespectful could in any way convey humor. That's beyond me, but hey, we're all different. And then she made the final assumption that I was a Wiccan. And whether I am or not isn't the point. A Wiccan is somebody who practices the religion of Wicca, And as most of you know, I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person, very spiritual, but I'm not a religious person. And because of my name, she just decided to make the assumption that I was Wiccan. And she said, all Wiccans are welcome. Like, only a Wiccan could possibly be named Morticia. No one else. So I point this out for two reasons. One, I'm sure she's a good person, you know, but even as good people, we need to be aware and mindful of what we say and what we think and how we communicate our thoughts. And we need to reflect on our own thoughts so that we understand who we are and where we come from, where our thinking comes from. And I also pointed out, because it was a huge milestone for me, and this is no doubt, you know, a result of walking nearly 700 kilometers now, you know, for the past 30 days. I think today's 31. And yeah, today's day 31. And that I am able to, you know, be at peace with another person being in disharmony. I don't need to be angry at her disharmony. You know, that's her thing. But I do need to recognize how her disharmony makes me feel, which in this case was disrespected and insulted, you know. So it was in a very calm place that I did that. Not that anger doesn't have its place, you know. We don't always have to be calm to figure stuff out, you know. Sometimes we need that anger, that power of anger. But I didn't need it. And I wasn't immediately emotionally controlled and strangled by someone else's words. I was able to be present with me and determine how I felt as a result of those words. So that for me is huge. So it's essentially, or in essence, the difference between, you know, being reactionary and, I suppose, being contemplative, or being present. That's what it is. Being reactionary or being present. And without even needing to tell myself to be present, I was naturally present. And that's huge for me. So, yay me, yay us, and yay Camino, yay world. And that's what I wanted to share with you guys. I hope it might help in some way. I just want to briefly show you. I love walking on days like this. Completely misty. It's gorgeous because I feel the mist, and every now and again, it's not like proper mist where I'm wet. It's more like fog, I guess. But every now and again, you feel that coolness, but it's not coolness with an oppressive heat beneath it. It's just nice and cool. Loving it. All right, look, this is the Liberty Bell, and I'm gonna ring this bell for liberty. And the heart, love. All right. So this is the big, giant river. Huge, oh massive. And there's a big, giant bridge. And that town on the other side, shrouded in mist, has got to be Puerto Marin, because on my map it says you cross a big giant river and on the other side is Puerto Marin. But I'm definitely not ready to get in a taxi and ride across, so I'll take a little break. I'll have an orange, and maybe eat some sunflower seeds. And yeah, and then I'll probably just keep going. So I'm pretty freaked out about taking my bridge out on the phone. No, taking my bridge out on the phone, taking my phone out on the bridge. But I just had to make a little recording of these. I don't know what they are. I'm sure they're not like prehistoric or something, but they're obviously something older. Some kind of settlement. I would be interested to know what they are the remnants of. What kind of a settlement that was here. Definitely looks like, you know, the way it's squared off. Maybe houses or maybe animal pens. It's hard to say. So I accidentally avoided Puerto Marin. I was following the sign, but I must have misinterpreted it because it led me along a bottom road, and then I didn't even go up into Puerto Marin, which is up on a hill. So, or it's just the Galician, the government was just saying, you don't have to go into the town if you don't want to. And now, then I had to make a choice between a complementario camino and a regular one. And when I started taking the regular one, my Camino map, my Camino Ninja app showed me as being off route entirely. So even though it was like supposedly the original path, I decided to follow this one, the one that's on my map, my app map. And it's still signposted because the Galician government is really good about way markers. So I have no doubt that I'll be able to follow signs all the way through, but I do have zero clue as to whether this way is steeper or longer or what. The only thing I know is that a couple of Spanish ladies, that there are no more mileage markers on those things. But a Spanish lady, she told me that she was only going to Puerto Marin, only 10 kilometers from where we stayed last night, because after Puerto Marin, it's all uphill. So, well, actually, I don't know how far uphill, but it is uphill. And I'm definitely going uphill now, and have been for a bit. So I'll pause and have my orange as soon as I'm ready for it. So it's 10 to 10, and I've got about 21 kilometers to go. And it's still nice, the weather's nice. I haven't found a place to stop yet. I'm sure it'll come up. And this time I had to pay double because my bag was going so far, and they said it wasn't going to get there until the afternoon, between 2 and 3, the earliest. And this time I decided to pack all my shower kit with me so that when I get there, I can shower right away and I don't have to wait on my bag arriving like yesterday, because that was super yucky. Not even being able to sit on the bed because I was all sweaty and I didn't want to gross up the bed. So yeah, I can feel the fog slowly burning away, so it's definitely starting to heat up. Flies are out en masse, but I'm still using my white light to repel them, and it works, and then I forget and I have to start it up again. Yeah, that's all for now. So I think I've got around 10 kilometers left. Super hot. Feet are doing great, but I'm really, really hot. But if I get a taxi, it's going to be to escape all the Turiclinos, especially the ones blasting their music along the way, forcing other people to listen to it. I don't really get that. I think they're trying to make it be fun or something, a party, but it's not a party. Not for me, it's a spiritual journey. And people chatter the entire time. They walk in these huge hordes and they blast their music. And it's just so disrespectful to other pilgrims. They're not even, they're dressed in jeans. You know, it's like, clearly they haven't been in this to really understand what it's about. And they didn't come to it to understand what it's about. And it's frustrating. It's really frustrating for me. And I could almost happily get in a taxi right now just to avoid them. So, my 3 hours of sleep is taking its toll. I'm walking pretty slowly. Probably something like 3 kilometers an hour or something. Still not ready to take a taxi. I think I can make it, but I've got at least 5 kilometers to go. So, yeah, I just thought I'd show you a little bit. It's pretty nice. And the heat, it's 27 degrees, but the heat doesn't feel quite as oppressive. I guess maybe the cloud cover is helping. I'm not sure. Every now and again there's a slight wind. It's been 7.5 hours since I started walking this morning. And I took a 20-minute break and a 10-minute break. And I'm nearly there now. I think it's a kilometer or less. And I've heated up quite a lot today because it's just so warm and I run hot anyway. But nearly there, and then I can shower, relax, and get some good food. And you can see on the map, we're nearly there. 2 more walks and we're in Santiago. So, this is Palas de Rei. I think it means Palace of the King. I'm not sure where the palace is, if there is one. But yeah, I'm here, down the hill, and then hang a right. 35.5 kilometers, nearly now. And I guess 8 hours with a half-hour break on 3 hours of sleep. So it was pretty dicey for a while there. I was kind of closing my eyes as I was walking. But I have renewed energy. I'm very encouraged that I'm nearly here. Oh, I see it, Albergue Altero, that big building up there. Yeah, now that I'm nearly there, I'm quite encouraged and I know I can rest for the rest of the day. And then do it again tomorrow, do it again the next day. And in theory, I do it again for the next 3 days after that. But I think it's gonna feel different somehow.